Welcome to Research Matters with Unda and Kuda, an online show that is all about communicating the research taking place at NUST in efforts to promote the university's research agenda and the impact thereof.
You heard it right. It is exactly 11:15, and that means it's time for Research Matters with Unda and Kuda. Now, we do this every second Tuesday, so you can always tune in to www.nustfm.na. Now, of course, we have a lovely guest in studio this morning, and I'll give Kuda the honors of introducing our guest.
Firstly, hey, before I dive right into it, welcome back, Unda.
Thank you.
I can see you're in tip-top shape and you're good to go and ready to do this
No,
again.
I absolutely missed you.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I
was
missed
like,
you more, but I must say, hey, Miss
Yeah.
K held it down. She represented you well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm so happy because I did listen. I was like, there goes Miss K. Thank you so much for holding down the fort. But of course, we're back in full swing. And of course, we have a lovely guest this morning, and I can't wait to dive into it.
There you go. In the house today, we have Miss Judy Grobler. Now, she's the head of the library. She's the director of the NUST library, that full, big building, everything that you see in there. She's the lady behind it all. Miss Judy, welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Kuda and Unda.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. But, I was actually talking to Miss Grobler outside in our newsroom, and I didn't know she has been at the institution for over 27 years, or just 27 to be exact. And I'm like, how do you still have so much passion and drive? Because when I saw, she was already smiling and just so happy to be here. And I'm like, most people would have probably been like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here and get onto a new project or a new organization. But she's still very thrilled and driven to be here.
That is so admirable, because here I am taking pride in my little 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years here, Shem.
But 27.
Just 8 years, 27.
That's a long
I can't wait to
time.
hear all about it.
Right? Now, Ms. Grobler, maybe you can just dive into what you do and how you got into this, field that you're in.
Take us back 27
years.
plus.
How did you get
Plus,
here?
yes. When I was a child, I was very shy. I hated school, and I grew up in a small town. So after school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And there was not the kind of exposure one has today. So my mom took me to an educational psychologist. He tested me and he said, I think that's what you have to study, librarianship. And I was quite happy with it, because my whole family loved reading, and I liked helping people. So I think that was quite into my ballpark.
And I love that, because that in itself is very inspirational. Again, and this happens to us every single time on this show, the people that come into the studio always tell us, you know what, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So yeah, here and there we do get the ones that are like, okay, I was set on this and I went for it. But it's these stories that we want to hear, the journey and exactly how you got here. And this is why we're doing this, right?
Absolutely. Now, I just actually wanted to tap onto the idea that, your parents had the knowledge to say, okay, maybe you don't know what exactly you want. Let's have you tested. Because, if we're being honest, a lot of us haven't gone through a special test where you can find out what are my strengths, what are some of the fields that I would be great at. Because, we're just told, no, just study, pass, and then eventually find a career, and we're told doctors and lawyers, and those are the career paths that you take. So I'm actually quite intrigued to know that you took an extra step and decided, okay, let me do like a little test or evaluation on what is best fitted for me.
Yes, and there's so many opportunities for students to do, or kids to do it today, so that you don't have to go into that wrong
field of study.
Yes.
And feel like you're wasting time and
money.
could have progressed. And money, keyword.
Now, obviously, this is all about research, the show, as it's called, Research Matters. How does this tie in with the library and publishing and so forth? One thing that we put on when we're promoting this particular show, we put publish or perish. I got a lot of people inboxing me telling me violence. They feel like that's so like a threat. I'm like, come on, but people do feel it, then that's exactly what they say. If you're a researcher, you don't publish, you're off the grid, literally, and you're not going to get anywhere. How does research and publications and library, how does it all tie in together?
Okay, so For researchers, we are advisors. We give them support in terms of information and so on and so forth. But when a researcher wants to publish, he or she must do their homework and make sure that they publish in a journal that's quality and accredited. Because you can so easily fall into that trap of publishing in a predatory journal. They only take advantage of the researchers or authors, because they ask for a publication fee, but they don't offer the peer review and the editorial services that's needed to be on that level of academic standard and so on. So you don't know what you're doing. You're publishing in this journal that's actually predatory. That journal has a bad image, or and it also brings down the value of your work, and it tarnishes the researchers' image and so and their reputation, let's say this.
Allow me to just interrupt you very briefly, just to take it back a bit. When we say predatory journal, what does that mean? What's predatory about it?
Predatory means that they are just there to make money out of the researcher. They're not actually there to share knowledge or research outcomes and so on. They just want to make money. That is the bottom line.
They're on their hustle.
So they're just abusing the researcher to make money. You can hear scary stories of people actually testing predatory researchers, publishers, by sending in just gibberish documents, and it's actually just published as is. So really, it's so bad, for the poor researcher at the end of the day.
So is there any guidance that's given to, researchers, especially if you're new and you're just embarking on that research journey?
For emerging researchers.
Yeah, do they have any guidance within your facility that says, okay, we have classes and editorial programs or so that helps guide you?
Yes. We will always advise the researcher to approach a faculty librarian. All faculties have faculty librarians assigned to them, but you can actually approach anyone of those staff members, and they will give you advice on where to publish, what to avoid. And on the library website, there is a list of indices that the NUST has identified as having accredited journals on. So if you go to the NUST website under the research link, you will find all those journals that we view as accredited, and you're going to search among those 4 journals that is appropriate for your field.
Okay, now we'll head on a quick musical break because, of course, our guest has requested one gem, and I actually want to know, why did you choose this one? When you were requested to submit some song requests, why did this come to mind?
Okay, so which song is it?
We're looking at ABBA with Don't Shut Me Down.
Okay, so ABBA has always been a favorite of mine. And because they are already in their 70s and they still make beautiful music, I think that one is, 2021. So, good for them. I enjoyed it.
Does it remind you of your childhood?
No, I just only enjoy the beat.
Oh, you really enjoy the beat. Well,
so we'll be dancing to this one.
Absolutely. We'll see you on the flip side.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're listening to Unda and Kuda. I was about to say Kuda and Unda, but yeah, one day we'll get it right.
Get used to it.
And in the studio, we've got with us Miss Judy Grobler. She's the head of the NUST Library, the director of the NUST Library, and she's telling us very interesting things about what's happening in the library space, how the researchers can fit into that space, and all those exciting things. She also really spoke extensively about the library website, which you can access through the NUST website, www.nust.na. Click on the library tab. There are exciting things happening there. Now, Ms. Judy, something that when we're doing our reading for this show, ORCID IDs, it's something that researchers must have, ideally. There are some benefits to that. What are we talking about here?
Okay, so ORCID or ORCID ID is a synonym or acronym rather, for Open Researcher and Contributor Identifier. When a researcher registers for ORG-ID, they receive a unique 16-digit number that's linked to their profile and their research. Now, the advantages of ORG-ID is that it reduces the negative consequences of name change, for example, which means that if I now get married or I decide I want to change my name or my name is translated or whatever, it's still linked to my research. Nobody with a similar name can lay claim to my research. It's mine. It connects researchers with about 1,200 research institutions, publishers, and funders. It ensures that your research work is discoverable. It automatically updates your record as when you publish. Most importantly, it's free of charge. And you must note that an increasing number of publishers and funders are now requiring research to have ORG-IDs when they are publishing or applying for funding. So there's just advantages in registering for ORG-ID.
So is this when can one start out with? Do you have to have a certain number of publications?
No, you can.
How does it work?
You can actually register without having any publication yet. So
in
if
preparation
you
of-
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And is it called? I said ORCID. Is that correct? What
you
is
can
it called?
you can say ORG-ID or you can say ORCID. It's all accepted.
Okay, now that was very well explained. But if we're looking at the context of just the digital era now, what role and importance has the library, does the library have? And also in terms of just value addition to research and knowledge dissemination?
Okay, so digital technologies are disrupting the nature of higher education and how it's delivered and absorbed by our students. So academic libraries are recognized as early adopters of new technologies, and therefore we have a major role to play as agents of digital transformation of our universities. Digital technologies are also changing the way research is conducted. And university libraries can be seen as a neutral and shared central space on campus, offering the potential to digitalize the university's research, promote and support the digital scholarship, and bring universities' research together. The library staff are trained to assist users to find information. So when you just do a general Google search, because a lot of people think you can only go to Google and it doesn't matter. You don't need the library.
That's a very valid point because, when people think library, all they're thinking of, I'm sure a lot of people, I'm speaking very generally when I say this, but they're just thinking of hard copies, like actual textbooks. Nobody, the digital bit is there, but like you said, I can do it from my house. Is that a wrong perception?
No. Still, if you do a Google search, you're going to get a whole lot of, results.
Stuff you have to pay for too.
Sometimes, yes. So when you come to the library, for example, library staff helps you to identify quality information. It's objective and it's accurate. And they can tell you what to look for to identify that type of information. So, the library gives you access also to digital information from home for resources that we've subscribed to, or open resources that is credible.
Is that with the e-resources accessibility?
Yes, the e-resources. So we have open access resources, and even our databases that we are subscribing to make good quality open resources, open access resources available. So it's always good to have the library, the discovery platform of the library as your starting point instead of Google. But we know the library is now also going so far as to making our resources available online. So you go there, you think you're getting it through Google, but actually it's taking you back to your library.
Redirecting you to the
back
library.
to the library, to your resources, because you are either IP authenticated on campus to do that, or you've logged in somewhere, as part of the library, and you have access automatically there.
Great. Now, Ms. Judy, allow me to just take us a couple of steps back. I know we touched on the fact that you've been at the Namibia University of Science and Technology for 27 years now. I feel like we didn't dig into that one enough. Tell us, just looking back just walk us through the very first time you came here. What was there a library? What did it look like? What has changed? So just take us on a speed trip from 27 years ago to today. Go.
Huge difference. We used to have a small little library on the main campus next to the ladies' hostel. And it was so full, even though at that stage we delinked from UNAM and they took most of their books with them. So we only started off with 3,000 books. Okay, so at the end of the day, we moved here in 2005 to the new library. By that time, we had quite a number of books more, and we had 14 staff members. Because when I started, there was just a chief librarian and me as the acquisitions librarian and a secretary and 1 or 2 library assistants.
Yeah.
Actually, we still have somebody in our IT department of the university that used to be a library assistant at the library.
Wow. What a journey.
So yes, as I told Unda when we were chatting beforehand, is that let's say the highlight of the whole period was when we were able to be part of the design development of the new library, and we as a small staff component were able to pack all our books, put it in a lorry and unpack it at the new library. Said it was kind of a team building exercise,
For librarians, of course.
Right? Yes.
That would have been very exciting.
Yes, hard work but exciting. Yeah.
No, great. It's lovely for you to share that journey with us. I think it's always interesting to have a full appreciation of where it all started, because we just see this big building, everything is intact, there's digital resources, everything is smooth sailing.
I was
But
literally-
just to take us back, that institutional knowledge is everything.
Absolutely. I was telling her as well about the sentiment that she would carry, because she's seen it from Polytechnic to the Namibia University of Science and Technology. So you have a little bit of an appreciation that we wouldn't see. We just walked in 2016 and you're like, oh, that's a really nice library. But, you don't see the development that came with it and so forth.
Yes.
But of course, we have come to the end of Research Matters, unfortunately, with Kuda and Unda. But of course, you can catch us every second Tuesday right here on NUST FM. But of course, for more details, you can always check out our Research Matters, that is by following the Research Innovation and Partnerships at NUST pages on Facebook, as well as LinkedIn, as well as the NUST FM Facebook page, as well as our Instagram. Now, our podcasts are out on the NUST YouTube page, so you can catch up on all the episodes that we've had thus far, in case you've only joined us recently. But of course, we will end off this amazing episode with another requested jam by our guest in studio, and this is called Luri by Spoegwolf. I hope I said it right. I think it's an Afrikaans jam, so I hope you're jamming with us outside.